Hey guys, Chris here. I want to talk today about porn addiction and how this relates to enmeshment, how this allows to keep the enmeshment going. So if you imagine you're enmeshed to a parent, common one is the guy enmeshed to their mum. So you're allowed to watch pornography without feeling, you're not actually meeting anyone else. You're not actually, if we say you're attached to your mother in an unhealthy way, you're not actually cheating on them. You're not actually meeting a woman and then your mum's not going to approve and she's going to criticize them and all this sort of stuff, and or question, or you feeling the guilt of meeting someone else. Instead, this allows you to do things secretly and to meet someone online. And there's lots of damaging things with this as well, as I'm sure everyone's aware of now. It's very pleasurable in the moment, but what is it doing to you? What is it doing to your confidence, energetically? How this kind of lowers your state, your vibration, and it's something that we as men need to look past, because it's not allowing us to grow. If you meet someone, you get rejected, the relationship doesn't work, you find out a lot about yourself. It brings up uncomfortable emotions, you're having to grow. If you get rejected by a woman, or the relationship doesn't work, or they meet someone else, or they cheat on you, or you cheat on them, or whatever happens, there's something to learn there. There's something to grow. Normally, as men, when we're getting rejected, or we want to meet someone, we've got high hopes, high standards to meet a certain person, we can improve ourselves. We get rejected, we're like, okay, I need to improve my appearance, I need to improve the way I dress, I need to make more money, I need to go to the gym, I need to learn some more skills, I need to find my purpose in life. And porn doesn't allow any of that, because you're just watching, you're gratifying yourself, and also to have compassion to yourself as well, because we've never ever in human history had so much like dopamine releases through watching some sort of pornography, or self-pleasuring, even to looking over how it's improved so much over the last 20-30 years, from going online, and before then magazines and videotapes and all of this sort of stuff, and you can just access it on a phone. So has to be some self-compassion there as well, but understanding that it is not allowing you to grow, not allowing you to grow spiritually. You're just indulging in pleasure, which is very much like watching TV and eating junk food. It just joins up that, and it takes up most of your energy. Sexual energy is really important. One good thing that I've learned and found very useful is at least jumping on a sort of, staying away from pornography and stop masturbating, and staying on a no-fap or a semen retention journey until you meet someone, instead of relying on the pleasure from watching porn. And this is, again, it ties into enmeshment, because some people become more addicts than others, and people have got addictive personalities. But for the guy who never meets anyone and goes on that, is you're just not attempting to improve yourself, and it's like a low self-esteem thing. Generally, a lot of guys with enmeshment have low self-esteem, and they have low self-esteem because of various things, like with the attachment to the mum and going out into the real world, and the feeling the guilt, and maybe identifying a lot of negative things in women, being very critical, high standards. Even if you meet someone who's beautiful, you then think, oh well, they're not like this, they're not like, they want to party all the time. There's always something that you will find in the person that doesn't make them perfect, and that can then affect your self-esteem, or you sort of feel like you're in the lower level of men who are out there, and you don't choose to improve yourself, you kind of just give up somewhat. And also the attachment to the mum can be like that, where you have a lot of anxiety, you enmesh with the low self-esteem problems as well, so this rubs off onto you. And as long as that attachment is there, it will affect your self-esteem. So the goal is to break free from enmeshment, and there's only ever positives of individuating. Yes, it's good to have someone out there, and the mum for the guy will feel like they're special, because they will idolize them, they will be there for them, And it's like when you individuate, you could have nobody, but it's much better to then have nobody and then look to meet someone. And instead, what a lot of people probably settle for is just to keep watching the porn, is to stay enmeshed with their mothers, and to not really looking to date, you know, and looking to sort of stay sort of outside of society, kind of giving up in a way. And that should never be a guy's mindset. It should always be, okay, I can always improve myself. I can always get down to the gym. I can just focus on making money, starting my business. I can do this, I can do that. I can learn these new skills. I can become more passionate for life. And, you know, that should always be the goal. It should never be about just sort of giving up and just staying on this path of watching pornography. But to avoid the guilt, and I mean, it gives you more guilt because you're watching it, and you've shame and a lot of these emotions keeping your energy low. So you probably know that there's no you're like giving your energy away for amazing pleasure, but in return you're getting a lot of anxiety, a lot of negativity, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. And once that payoff is seen, that's the payoff, then, you know, it has to be something that to step away from and instead play the game of life. The game of life is much more exciting. Of course, rejection hurts, but you can keep working and improving yourself and look to form relationships and meet women in reality rather than on the screen. So that's what I wanted to share, guys. I hope you found that useful, and I'll speak to you soon.